Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Harris. Thank you so much for swinging back by. Today, we have a very, very, very special guest, Robert Rakowski, my good friend and publisher and founder of REI Ink magazine, our partner on the show.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thanks for being here, Bob.
I appreciate it. It's been a while.
I'm going to call you Bob.
Okay.
But it says Robert on it. I've
That's
called
fine.
Bob for 20 years now, so
That's fine.
I can't stop.
It's a lot better than some people call me.
Bob, I know a lot about you. You are a force in the industry, but if you would just take 60 seconds and tell the audience a little bit about you.
Sure. So I started the magazine. Right now we're on like our 53rd, 54th issue. We're a monthly publication for real estate investors. Started the magazine 2018. First issue came out in 2019. It took that long to put the infrastructure in place and hire the people and everything else. And I worked at about 4 or 5 different other magazines before I started my own. And I just realized I can do it better. And I think from the reaction we're getting across the industry, I did do it better. And there's one very good reason for it. You know, we founded the magazine on customer service. And it's amazing how far customer service goes.
Well, you've always been an impressive person to me, and it all started for me with the REI Expo when I met Andrew Waite, the guy that you were partners with or working with at Professional Real Estate Investor Magazine.
Personal Real Estate Investor Magazine.
Personal Real Estate Investor Magazine.
Just in case Andrew's watching.
Thank you. You know we're going to get notes from him on what we should have said differently.
Yep.
We love you, Andrew, kind of. But bluff, bottom line up front, up to 2 minutes, most important things you're seeing in the industry. I know you already know all this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
As are most people in the real estate industry, I'm a data geek. I love numbers. I love analyzing numbers. I think that's very important for anybody. So if you're in the industry, either as a seasoned professional or as a newbie, learn how to look at numbers and how to analyze numbers. My only caveat on that would be careful who you listen to. There's a lot of bad information out there. Find that trusted resource. You know, go to the Rick Shargas of the world, the Darren Blomquists of the world. You know, go to people like that. Because one of the things I always tell people, you can have 10 economists, all went to the same school, all had the same professor, all had the same textbooks. You ask them what's going to happen, they all have different answers. So be careful who you listen to, find the experts in the field, and go with the data, and compare the data. If you're getting data from one company and then another, put them side by side and see which one makes the most sense for you. So that's my advice, the data. I love numbers. I've actually got a master's degree in statistics, so I think that's why I like it so much. Outside of that, provide great customer service. There's a lot of things out there that you can do great, but if you're not providing customer service, what good is it? You know, so go that extra mile. That includes answering your telephone. I know that's a boomer thing, talking on the telephone. However, it shows your clients that you have respect for them. You know, that you're taking time out of your schedule to call them personally. So provide customer service and look at the numbers. That's my bottom line.
Okay, so masters in statistics. You've worked at a lot of magazines. What has made you gravitate to the real estate investor space?
So, just like you, I was military. My first job
for your service.
Thank you. And my first job when I left the military, you're too young to remember this, but back in 1996, Bob Dole was running for president, and I was his director of operations in Arizona. That was my very first job when I left the military, and I loved it. And that led to a phone call from the mayor of Phoenix asking me to run a political campaign for a buddy of his. So I did. And then we ended up striking a deal with who he was running against. So he backed out in exchange for her endorsement when he ran for Phoenix City Council. So I was out of a job. However, the gentleman whose campaign I was running owned a company that rezoned land for developers. He asked me to work for him. So I did. It started out part-time, and I just loved it. I loved the whole entitlement thing, the zoning thing. And we had a niche. We did the public relations, we did the community relations, we did all that stuff. And he eventually became a Phoenix City Council person, and I bought the company. I did that from 2001 till about 2009, because that funny thing called 2008 came along, and my developer clients didn't need me anymore.
No.
So I got a phone call from a gentleman named Andrew Waite, and he said, "Bob, come work for me." I said, "Okay." Knew nothing about the magazine business, absolutely nothing, but man, I loved it. And it was just like such a natural thing, and it took me a while to grasp the concept, of how to sell advertising and stuff. But after I grasped that concept, it was a natural thing, and I just loved it. And so I worked for him until 2015 when he sold the magazine. And I eventually went to work for the company that he sold the magazine to. I went to work for them about 9 months later, I think it was. And then I worked for another one after that. And then I thought, I'm going to start my own. Hard work. Your life is controlled by an Excel spreadsheet. But, being single, I don't have to worry about that work-life balance kind of thing. All I have to worry about is work guitar balance is basic. The only thing I have to work with. Yeah. So that's how I got involved in the real estate magazine space.
So you talked about customer service in the magazine business, specifically this REI Ink investor-focused magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the customer? Is it the reader? It's a three-part question. Is it the reader? And if so, is the reader a investor, or is it a advertiser vendor person, or is the customer the advertiser? Like, how do you break that up?
Both. Number one, we wouldn't have any advertisers if we didn't have readers,
right?
And vice versa. Our readers were basically given to us by our clients. And when I first started the magazine, one of my very first clients gave me a database of thousands of names. And so our readers are typically investors, anywhere from the mom and pop, the 3 or 4, guy, up to the institutional. However, no one's going to read the magazine if you don't have advertisers in there anyway. Number one, I couldn't print the thing if I didn't have advertisers. It's a very expensive business. And so that's the readership. But we also send the magazine to all of our clients. They, in turn, hand it out to their clients. I mean, we send cases out, to our clients. And they hand it out to their clients, especially when they have a story in the magazine. And then not only that, but it's not only a print publication, it's online. So 65 to 70,000 people every month read the thing. And our advertisers love it, because we have to do reports all the time. And this is another customer service thing. If a client asks me for a report on how their ad did or how their digital campaign did, good, bad, or indifferent, they're going to get the real numbers. And if the numbers are great, everybody's happy. If the numbers aren't great, then we set out and find out what went wrong, and we'll make that fix. Yeah, and there was another time, I think it was, when I probably first started. One Saturday, I'm going through and I'm calling all the telephone numbers on all the ads in the magazine, and I come across this one number, disconnected. And I thought, okay, so I dialed it again, disconnected. So on Monday, I called the client, and I said,
Was that me?
No.
Just kidding.
I said, put me on hold and call this number and tell me what happens. So she takes me off hold and says, the number is disconnected. She goes, whose number was that? I said, yours. And she goes, oh my God. She goes, we put a wrong telephone number in our ad. And I go, you sure did. And she goes, well, I guess I lost all that money. I said, no, you didn't. I said, I'm not charging you for it. I don't know of anybody else who would have done that.
Right.
So they had a free ad. It didn't do anything for them. There was no way for anybody to contact this company. So why should they pay for it? And the same on the digital side. If their campaign's not working, we'll make the fix and we'll do it again for free. And that's just customer service. And we've gotten to become masterful at the whole digital thing. Our click rates, our open rates, they're phenomenal. I don't know if you even see the reports I send your company.
I do not.
Oh, phenomenal numbers. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's a lot of fun too. But like I said, I don't have to worry about a work-life balance, so I can do my job 7 days a week if I need to.
What's the biggest challenge? Is it keeping up with trends on data privacy and digital marketing? Is it managing the cost of production? Is it making sure that your rate card's right based off of economic situations? As the business owner, we'll just start with the nitty gritty.
Okay.
Like what keeps you up at night? What's the thing that's the hardest?
So we've done about 55 issues, and I can honestly say I have missed 55 deadlines. So many things are out of my control. If John Smith tells me he's going to write a story, and we do vet people, just because someone says they're going to write a story for us, that's not a guarantee. We're going to vet him, we're going to vet that company, and we're going to make sure that our readers are interested. So if he tells me I'm going to have a story on the 1st, and I get it on the 10th, kind of makes me miss my deadline.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who aren't happy, when stuff like that happens. And my magazine designer, the guy that I hired from day one, his name's Kevin Fullerton. He owns a company in Kansas. We actually hired his company to create the magazine. He's got total control over how it looks, the feel, the layout, everything. He's not happy when I miss a deadline. That in turn leads to my printing company not being happy. Because if you're scheduled for the press on, say, the 9th of a particular month, and they schedule you, and then they find out on the 8th that you can't meet that deadline, more unhappy people. But we've got such a great relationship with all the people who work with us, between the designer, the printing company. They more or less resign themselves to the fact that I'm never going to make a deadline.
Bob says the 8th, plan on the 10th.
But, there's so many things out of your control. I might get an ad and they forget to put bleed in it, and I send the ad off.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't either, to be honest with you. And I send the ad off to Kevin, and he sends me an email saying, can't use it, Bob. They didn't follow the specs. There's no bleed in this thing. Can't do it. So it might take, another 3 or 4 days to get a new ad. So that adds to the deadline frustration. And then the other key thing is the overall cost of the magazine. It's a beautiful magazine. The paper is thick.
Hand me it. When we're in the Dallas studio, I'll try to display it, but here it is. It's nice, glossy, every page. It's not glossy on the outside and then cheap on the inside. Every page is glossy. I actually sat and read this one yesterday. I read every one of them. This one was all about private lending and kind of, I'd say you went into different, and now I'm just taking over. You went into so many different things between state of the market and future of the market and background of the market, and then some market snapshots, and then some product offerings, advertisers sprinkled throughout. How many writers do you have? And this guy, the CEO of Upright, if he wrote this article, do you rewrite it? Do you interview him to write it? How do you manage all that? How big's your team? What's your team do?
So we've got Carol Ellis is our editor. We only actually write 2 stories in the magazine. Carol writes the cover story, and she writes our regional spotlight. So every month I pick a city in conjunction with Suzanne. We pick a city that we think our readers might be interested in. We give that city to Carol. Carol determines who to interview, for that particular city. And she'll conduct all the interviews. She'll write the story. She sends it to me for me to look at. I'll send it back to her with my suggestions. She'll make those. And then Kevin is not only our designer, but he's also a journalist. So he gives it another set of eyes. You can go back in 55 issues. You will never find a typo in this. I guarantee you will never find a typo in this magazine. We've come close. We actually had a typo on our cover, one issue, and nobody caught it because it was so obvious, and nobody caught it. I caught it the day before it was going to print. I called up the printer. This was on a Saturday. Sunday. I called up the printer at home. We have a great account rep over there. And I said, Mary Jo, you got to pull me, man. She goes, why? I said, I found a typo on the cover. It was supposed to be home, and we had housing. And it's a big difference when you look at the why. And she goes, Bob, it's Sunday. You're on the press for tomorrow. And I said, yeah, I know. So I called Kevin at home on a Sunday night. He made the changes. We got the new files in a day or two later. But you'll never find a mistake in the magazine. So the process is Carol writes those two stories. We have a theme every month, whether it's lending, single family, multifamily, whatever. Suzanne Andresen, my partner in the magazine, she always comes up with the right people, and then she invites them to write a story. And we never really have anybody other than C-level people write the stories. And we do that as a service to our readers. Our readers don't care about my opinion. They care about yours. They care about Jeff Tesh. They care about Tennyson. They care about those people's opinions. They don't care about mine. So C-level people write the stories for us. Senior VPs write the stories for us. The stories come in. I take a quick glance at them. And basically, I just look at word count. Did they meet the word count? And if the word count's there, I ship it off to Carol. And Carol does her editing to it. And there's a lot of times where I'll say, I need a 1,000-word story. Get a 1,700-word story. And I go, this ain't going to work. So that story just automatically gets sent back to the guy who wrote it. So we have Carol, who's the editor. She writes the two features. I write the publisher letter, which I hate doing. I hate writing, which is weird for a publisher, but I do not like to write. The last thing that always gets sent in to Kevin for inclusion in the magazine is the publisher letter, because I just procrastinate on it because I don't like writing.
Well, you have to see the complete thing before, I'll defend you. Because a couple of years ago, you called me and asked for a veteran's take story thing. And you called me again, and then you called me again, and finally, I think you were like, "Left me a message like, look, I guess you're not going to do it." But no, I read this yesterday, and I noticed that you really talked about the most successful people in the industry are constant learners who because of their knowledge and experience can adapt and overcome most situations. Join an association, join a mastermind. Listen to Uncontested Investing and read REI Ink.
Absolutely.
Happy investing. And I think that I'm gonna stop and come back to that right after a quick break.
Okay.
So stick around. We'll be right back. At RCN Capital, we know that time is money. With our competitive rates and quick turnaround time, you can receive funding in as little as 10 days. We offer flexible payment plans to relieve the pressure of repayment process. Our team is experienced in making sure that you choose a loan that will suit you best. Get on the phone with the loan officer today by emailing info@rcncapital.com or clicking the link in our bio. Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. Tim Herridge, still with Bob Rakowski. Bob, I think I told this story once on the show. I'm going to tell it again. Jeff brought me on to RCN 2 years ago now, and one of the first things he said, I want a podcast. And I said, you want a podcast? What are we trying to do here? And he's like, I just want to help investors make more money. I said, okay. So that's what we're going with. It's not an infomercial. That's what we're going with. I'll figure it out. And about a couple months went by, and I was talking with Erica LaCentra, our chief marketing officer, and talking with Jeff. And I just, nobody wants to sit and listen to a lender. And I was in the shower one morning, and I thought of you.
I don't know how to take that.
But I thought, okay, we just got back from IMN, and we did the cool cooking thing with you guys there in Phoenix. It was my first one. And I was like, okay, this is a really good partnership.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a ton of credibility. If there's anyone that has no problem in the world standing up and telling me I'm wrong, it's Bob and Suzanne.
Yeah.
And I was like, what a great partnership. And I called you and I said, hey, how about this? And you were like, okay, let's look at it. Like, and then we got Erica and Suzanne and you. Maybe could you talk a little bit about why you were open to it and why you think this show is important for, because you guys put a lot of work into it too.
Yeah.
And catch our typos on the graphics.
Right.
So why did REI Ink decide to partner with us on this?
Well, I guess in full transparency, I think I should say that RCN Capital is a great client of mine. You guys have been with me since day one. So I want to let everybody know that up front. But I just love RCN Capital. You know, I've known you since, 2009?
A long time.
And I remember a wise man in Texas once told me, Bob, this industry, this multi-trillion-dollar industry is so huge, there's plenty of room in the sandbox for everybody. And I think that was you who told me that. So we go back a long way. I think I met Erica. God, I think Erica just graduated college when I first met her. You know, I've known Jeff Tesh for a while, and I just have tremendous respect for RCN Capital. I love the fact that everybody is focused on we. It's always we. It's never I.
Right.
And I just love that about RCN Capital. And so it was really a no-brainer to be associated with a company of your caliber. It was a no-brainer. I think it took me how long to make that decision? 5 minutes, I think?
Yeah, I mean, really quickly you were like, yeah, let's flush this out. Like, I mean, and see what it's going to take. And, I mean, resource plan and talk about format. And we were kind of, took a couple months to actually get into the studio because of all then we had to pick a name and go through all that. And
in fact, I remember when you picked the name, I said, what does that mean?
Well, it is funny. When Erica's team came up with a list of names, I was like, that one. That's uncontested. Like, you know, how to not have a competition, like how to not be contested, like how to be able to get out and not have anyone in your way. I was like, okay. And then I thought about what Jeff had originally wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it just seemed good. It seemed, I mean, the name's one thing, right? It's, do you do the job?
Yeah.
Right? Do you show up? And I feel like we are now rounding out 2023. And so we've got, I don't even know, probably close to 75 to 100 shows in that range. I don't know. I think we're on target.
Yeah.
We're driving towards helping investors make money.
Yeah, but getting back to your original question, it was a no-brainer to make that decision just because of the credibility that RCN's got. And I thought we can just do a good job together. You know, we don't recommend a lot of guests to you, but the ones that we did recommend to you, they came out pretty good. Those interviews came out pretty well.
Have you seen the pet screening one yet?
No.
I don't mean to give this away, but it's, I think, next week or the week after. You're going to be in a couple weeks. But it's one of my favorite. Victoria,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Funny, knowledgeable, ways to make money, extra money by charging pet rent, FIDO score. And I was just like, wow, how cool. And I've had, the guy from Blue Hammer, Clint. What a great, I could have talked to the guy for 3 hours.
Yes. I haven't seen that one yet, and I haven't seen Victoria's. But I remember when Victoria, in her very first story that she submitted to us to get published, very rarely do I call somebody and say, I loved your story. On hers, I did. I called her up, I introduced myself, and I said, I just got to tell you, I said, I loved that story you did. I said, it was hilarious. It was to the point. I said, I just love that story.
She was witty and on point. Like it's, I can't wait for you to get to hear it. maybe your favorite part about seeing the finished product? Like, is it as you flip through it and so like for me, on the note of us talking about the podcast, it's always so different when I see it live versus when I record it.
Right.
Because when I'm recording, I'm thinking like, what's next? How much time do I have? What have I not talked about? How do I add value to this guest? Like, it's really, I'm paying attention, but I'm paying attention to something different. And then every Tuesday morning when they come out, I just love sitting down and watching. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't do a very good job on that. Or I'll be like, oh, God, that's great. Like, and then, you know, so, but like, you spend a month creating this. It finally goes to press. You get the paper copy. What's your favorite part of that?
The reason why we call it REI Ink is because so many people think that print is dead, and nothing can be further from the truth. I love the smell of a magazine. I love the feel of the magazine. And with our magazine, even if you don't read it, it's going to look great on your coffee table. So, number one, I just enjoy the beauty of it when I first get it, because obviously I have copies delivered to my house, you know, because people are always asking me for copies, so I keep a stash at my house. But I love the feel. I love the colors. I love the pictures that Kevin finds to accompany all the stories. And I never read the finished product, to be honest with you, because I have read those stories at least 9 or 10 times. I can recite the stories to you. I read them 8, 9, 10 times before it goes to print. Because like I said, you will never find a typo in the magazine. So when I actually get it in the mail, I don't read it. I do enjoy looking at it, and I always check to make sure the printer didn't make a mistake, because that happens. That can happen. When you have to submit file, we submit the file. Every page in that magazine is its own file. And so when Kevin uploads the file to the printer, it's literally 72 different files that he sends to the printer. So the chance for a mistake to be made are pretty good.
Yeah.
Are pretty good. And Kevin is constantly working with the printing company. And so I look to make sure that there were no print errors. And I read a couple of the stories, you know, but I'm just excited to see it, because it's one thing to look at it on a computer screen, but it's another thing to hold it in your hand.
You know, it's kind of like being a house flipper. It's always so crazy. You go and you see this really downtrodden home, and you start making incremental improvements to it. And so often it's hard to see the magnitude of what you've accomplished with this house. And you don't even appreciate it, because it's like, you know, when you think about the kitchen counters, you think about how they were delayed 3 times and they broke a slab of granite and then they drilled the wrong hole. Like, you're not seeing the beauty of the creation. But one of my favorite times is when Jennifer gets the pictures back from the professional photographer before we put it online for sale. And I always will check down and look through like, yeah, baby, you know, I did that. Like, and I love before and afters are one of my most favorite things to look at in this, because we really, look, I mean, investors provide a massive service to the market.
Yes, they do.
We take the ugly houses on the street and make them freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we do that, I think sometimes we don't soak in that beauty like you're talking about.
Yeah. You know, and I can't really complain about how much it costs me to print this thing, knowing how much money investors have to put into a product before they can sell it or rent it. You know, but you had I do write another story. So we have an agreement with Home Investors, and every month they send me somebody to interview. And I don't want Carol to do it, so I do it. And so I interview the guy for an hour and a half, and then write the story, get their approval on it. I ship it off to Carol for her to take a look at. And the one thing they always say is people have no idea how important investors are. We revitalize communities. We make homes that are typically not even eligible for a loan because they're in such bad shape. And we fix them up so that they're eligible for a loan.
Yeah.
And people the average person doesn't understand the value that real estate investors bring to the world.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So, what is your vision for the magazine? Does it go to 100,000 readers, 200,000 readers? Do you see a time where it becomes online only? What are your thoughts on the future of the business?
I cannot see us going online. There's so many
Online only.
It's online.
Okay.
Yeah, but
It is online. If you're out there thinking this boomer, I'm never going to read a hard copy magazine, it is online.
Number one, I'm very proud of being a boomer.
Oh,
So I'm very proud of that. But I cannot see becoming an online only magazine. And the reason for that is you can't appreciate the beauty of it. Like I said, when you look at something on a computer screen, it's not beautiful. It's a magazine. That's all there is to it. When you get it in your hands and you feel it, and I think there's a lot of people out there who enjoy that feeling. I still read newspapers. I don't read a newspaper online. I love the black ink on my fingers. So to become online only, that's never going to happen.
Not while you're at the helm, right?
Not while I'm at the helm, and I plan on being at the helm for quite a while.
So I'm going to flip this. One of the things I've always known about you for the 15 years or so that I've known you is you are one hell of a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I knew I was at an event with you and you could see any reason whatsoever for me to go from a quarter page to a half page or a half page to a full page or to partake in a supplement or combo an email blast, like I knew within a day I was going to get a proposal and a call and a request for signature.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you learn how to be such an obnoxious, successful salesperson?
I think Andrew Waite taught me a lot about the magazine business.
Oh, he's obnoxious, so that makes a lot of sense. No, perfect. All right.
Yeah. He actually told me one time when I first started with him, I mean, my first day with him, he came screaming in my office because I didn't sell anything yet. This was like my first 4 hours on the job. And I think what he told me was, Bob, a monkey can sell advertising. That's not what you're here for. You're here to build relationships. And once you build that relationship and then you close your mouth and let your prospect do the talking, it's pretty easy. I haven't sold anything in 5 years. That's not my role anymore. But, I do come across companies that will call me and they'll ask for information about the magazine, and I'll give them brief information. And then I shoot an email off to Suzanne. She's the key. She's the force. And so she'll call out and reach out to these people and put a deal together for them. But it's all about, you can't sell if you don't have a relationship. And that's the key right there. The other thing you have to do, which I learned a long time ago in the military, there is no place anywhere for an overinflated ego. You can't have it in the military. You can't have it in business. Your clients aren't going to do business with you if you've got an overinflated ego and you think the world revolves around you. So you got to leave your ego at the door. And there's a great benefit to keeping your mouth shut and just listening to people. And I think once you can master that, you're in good shape.
Yeah,
in good shape.
Suzanne's a great salesperson as well. My first experiences with her was when she was at the 5-Star.
Mm-hmm.
And you were buying a booth no matter what. You were paying for an email blast, and you were going to go ahead and support the single family rental roundtable. You had no choice. That number would come up from Maine, and she'd call you back. If you didn't answer, she was calling you back, calling you back, and you finally like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
If I buy the ad, will you stop calling?
Yeah.
But there was a focus on, you said you wanted this, I got you this. This is what you need. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, I think Suzanne came on board after the fifth or sixth issue. I think she came on board, and she actually took the magazine to a whole new level. The magazine distribution improved, the advertisers improved. She started the REI Referral Network, which is a sister company of ours. That spun off into the Highest and Best platform. So basically, the magazine spun off 2 companies because of Suzanne. So she is a driving force. And she did a sales job on me one time because you had alluded to this earlier, that at every IMN event, we host a cooking class with RCN Capital. Suzanne calls me up and says, Bob, have I got a great networking idea? I go, what's that? She goes, a cooking class. I said, Suzanne, that is the dumbest idea I had ever heard. And she goes, oh no, Bob. She goes, this is going to be great. This is what we're going to do. So I said, Suzanne, stupid idea, but we'll give it a shot. Now we're going on our 7th, our 8th, something like that.
Yeah.
And they're by invitation only. And there's so many people trying to crash it, to try to get in without being invited. There's people constantly calling to receive an invitation. And I mean, she did a sales number on me on that one.
She won.
Yes, she
good deal.
Yes, she did.
All right, we'll take a quick break, come back, and hit the money minute. Stick around. We'll be right back.
REI Ink is a monthly business publication for real estate investors, covering all types of real estate investments and strategies. It is the most comprehensive real estate investment publication on the market. All of the articles are written by the top leaders in the industry, so investors are assured of always getting the best information possible. Each month, REI Ink also profiles the top companies in the industry and provides insights and data into key regional markets. Along with their sister platforms, the REI Referral Network and Highest Invest, real estate investors have exclusive access to off-market investment opportunities and national acquisition and disposition initiatives. To learn more, visit www.rei-ink.com, where you can also access the REI Referral Network. Also, be sure and visit www.highest-and-best.com to view the latest exclusive off-market assets with near immediate acceptance decisions and closing strategies. You can also email marketing@rei-referralnetwork.com to request more information.
Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. Tim Harridge here with Bob Rakowski. Bob, it's time for the money minute. I know you know what it is, but I got to tell you, 60 seconds, best advice you have for investors or entrepreneurs out there. You ready?
Got it.
Go.
Once again, I cannot stress enough the importance of data, the importance of good data. Take your time. It'll be well worth your investment in time to analyze the data, compare the data. So definitely do that. The other thing I want to mention is the customer service thing. That's a key differentiator between companies. You can have 5 or 6 different companies out there all doing the same thing. So you got to find that key differentiator, and that's going to be your customer service. Number 3, you got to treat your clients and customers with respect. You got to treat them with respect, give them the dignity they deserve. And I think if you do those 3 things, you can't help but be successful.
Well, you've known me long enough to know that I may pop off every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Really?
But that's great advice. I mean, treat people with the dignity they deserve. I want to ask you, I was thinking about this earlier. Are there any really cool stories that you've heard from readers or subscribers from the magazine?
We have a great partnership with the National Private Lender Association. For anyone out there who's a lender or a service provider, join the NPLA. It's a phenomenal organ. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
That's why I got my tie on. I just came from the event. And we started our partnership with them, I want to say back in February or March of this year. And when they had called us and bounced the partnership idea off of us, once again, a no-brainer. It was something we jumped at right away. Well, they were under new ownership. John Hornick in New Jersey, he's a lawyer. He bought the Pitbull and changed the Pitbull conference into the NPLA conference, and then he bought the NPLA itself. And he just had so many ideas with it. And I just respect John. And so when he said, let's do a partnership, I said, absolutely. And we did. And at their first event, before we were really involved, they had a good crowd, maybe 200, 250 people, something like that. we got involved in not tooting our own horn or anything, but their attendance numbers increased, their number of sponsors increased, everything. Yeah, so we are, that's our job. Our job is to provide results for companies. And whether it's with an association like the NPLA or an investor or whatever, that's our only goal in life is to make money for our clients. That's it.
Well, I mean, that client-centric approach, right? Make your clients money, and you'll never run out of clients.
Exactly.
I mean, it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah. And I'm very proud of the fact, and this gets back to Suzanne, we've got, any month we have between 15 and 20 advertisers. That's a lot of advertisers in this economy. And we have clients. I met you in 2009. You're a client. I met Robert Greenberg in 2009. He's a client. I met the National Real Estate Insurance Group people back in 2009 and 2010. They're a client. They've been a client from day one. All these clients that I met, 14 years ago, we're doing something right, if they're sticking with us for this long.
Well, and I think a lot of people in the magazine industry before you, you have to be really careful in all business not to burn bridges.
Right.
You have to make sure that you control yourself, and you talked about ego earlier, and you make sure that you just do what's right and take care of business. And I think business is pretty sustainable if you do that.
Yeah. Business is not hard. People make it hard. You were talking to a guest one time, and they said, this is not being in real estate is not hard. It's the people who work hard.
I think we all say that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, contractors and realtors and title agents and lenders, it's a never-ending, so much of my word depends on the word of others.
Yeah, yeah. But, like I said, my situation is different. I can work 24/7 because I don't have to worry about anybody. I moved to Washington State last year because I've never been geographically close to my daughter. And so I was out visiting her for vacation a few years ago, and she goes, Dad, you can live anywhere. She goes, move out here. So I did. So I always find time for her and her husband and all of her chickens and goats and dogs and cats and everything. Always find time for her. Always find time for my guitar. But outside of that, I can work 24/7 if I wanted to. So I don't have to worry about working in my office at 10 o'clock at night and someone yelling at me.
So we're just going to rename you All In Bob.
There you go.
All In
You can
Bob.
do that. And plus, I like what I do. I enjoy what I do. So that's half the battle right there.
There's a blessing to that. Yeah. So we're going to run out of time soon. Anything we haven't covered that you want to cover?
No, I just appreciate our partnership.
Yeah.
Both for the podcast and, like I said, you guys have been with me since day one also. So I appreciate our partnership. I love working with RCN Capital, and continued success to the both of us.
Well, anything I can do after 20 years in this industry to elevate the industry, to bring some standards about the industry. This is an industry that, makes millionaires out of thousandaires and can change the future of generations of families and communities. And so I love it, and I respect what you've created, and I like the professional standards of it. And I thank you for your partnership here. And if someone's out there, they hear the ad, right? But check out, is it REI-Ink.com?
Yes.
REI-Ink.com.
REI-Ink.com.
INK, like ink from a pen.
Correct.
And then, sign up for the referral
network.
The referral network. Subscribe to the magazine. It's a great read every month. So, last chance.
Oh, I do have one parting shot.
Yeah, parting shot.
The one thing I love about this podcast, not only do you and your guests talk about your successes, you and your guests are not ashamed to discuss your failures. And that is so refreshing, because one of the reasons I don't like social media and I really do not like social media, is because you've got to sift through all the BS before you can find a good thing to read. I told Jeff Tesh a funny story one time. I don't have time to repeat it here, but one of your competitors was on social media and he took a picture of his ankles crossed and took a picture of his blue leather shoes and said, "This is what success looks like." And I'm thinking, you're so full of crap. But that was just an aside that I told Jeff about. But, there's nothing wrong with failing.
That's part of life.
Nothing wrong with
I
it
don't
at all.
think you're trying hard if you're now failing a little bit.
Exactly. and if you don't take an opportunity when it's presented to you, do it. There's never a good time to start anything.
Right.
So if you're presented with an opportunity, do it and figure out the details later. That's the way I look at it.
I agree. But Bob, thank you for your friendship. Thank you again for your service. Congratulations on the success. And then here's to many, many, many more years of the magazine.
Thank you.
With ink on it.
Absolutely.
And pretty pages.
Absolutely.
We're out of time. Thank you again to our partners at REI. Couldn't do this without them. So we'll see you next week. Remember, your network is your net worth, and today you've been growing both.
Thank you for listening to Uncontested Investing. Questions about today's episode or the podcast? Email podcast@rcncapital.com and make sure to follow REI Ink magazine on LinkedIn and Facebook and RCN Capital on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. See you all next time.